Ruben Amorim. I'm done with Amorim. I obviously all the criticism is going to be focused on Andre Onana. And again, you know, crucial mistake for the first goal. Second goal, I think, was a little bit harsh. Even though you know a better keeper probably palms that away from goal. But 2-2, Man United and Lyon. But I'll be honest with you, I'm done with this manager. I'm done with this manager. To pick the same lineup that played against Man City, where again it was a poor performance. I know they got the draw in the end, but to pick that same performance, to pick that same team, I'm done with this manager now. This manager needs to go. I don't want to see no more of this manager. I don't want to see him here next season. I've seen enough. I've seen enough. The guy is just another version of Eric Ten Hag. If I'm honest, yeah, I've seen enough of him. Uh, Fed up, man. I'm fed up with this club. I'm fed up with this manager. I'm fed up with a lot of these players. You know, let's get into the players anyway. Andre Onana. You know what? For me, Onana wasn't the biggest problem for me. If I'm looking at five players that United need to get rid of, I think he wasn't really in the five. I have to say now, yeah, he has to go, man. He has to go. But again, I think there's other issues that United need to focus on. And as I said, will he be on the chopping block? Because it's unacceptable, to be fair, the first goal. I think from that free kick, he should definitely have palmed it out. But the second goal, as I say, a little bit of sympathy, but obviously all the criticism is going to be on Onana, and rightfully so. And how does he come back from this? I don't know. Obviously, his confidence will be low, but a disappointing draw, for me. I don't want to see people being excited with this because it's just not good enough. It's nowhere near good enough, And United go back to Old Trafford 2-2. Lyon weren't even good, and Lyon got two goals. I think Lyon, in terms of the passing, little short passing, they were good, but I think they were a bit toothless up top. If I'm honest with you, they had a couple of chances, but yeah, it's a joke, man. Big up to Monkey Aviation, big up to Darcian, big up to Lily. Yeah, yeah, I'm well and truly fed up, man. Well and truly fed up. But Diego Dallo, right wing back. I thought he had a decent game. Does give the ball away carelessly, but I thought on the whole he was okay. I think he kept. I think Thiago Almada was playing out there. I think he kept him fairly quiet, and obviously was supporting as well. The attack. So yeah, I think he had a decent game, but nothing really to write home about. Guys, make sure you smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to my channel at Gav Goes In. Big up yourselves for coming on. But let's go on to the other wing back, Patrick Dorgu. Has been getting a lot of criticism lately. I thought Dorgu was decent today. I think in terms of his physical attributes, he's always gonna be a problem for the opposition in that sense. Powerful runner. Obviously, he's got the strength as well. I think his decision making for me, is a bit hit and miss really. But I can see him getting better. But to be fair, this team's going to drag him down. So until the majority of these players are gone, and again, I want this manager out. I've had enough of this manager now. I wanted Ten Hag badly gone, and to be honest with you, this manager is no different to Ten Hag for me. So yeah, man, it's an absolute joke. Absolute joke. Going on to the defence, I thought the defence was very good. Let's go to the goal scorer first, Lenny Yoro. Lenny Yoro, is going from strength to strength. Great performance. Obviously got the goal as well for the equaliser. And he can be very happy with his performance. One thing I don't like, though, I don't like the way he's getting moved around all over the place in terms of right and left. But again, it's showing his versatility, and he definitely deserves his place in that lineup for sure. And another commanding performance from Lenny Yoro. The same with Mazraoui, Mr. Consistent. Mazraoui for me, he's one of Man United's key players for me. Multiple positions he can play, and he just offers an assurance that that he can be relied upon. And even if he's part of a lineup or part of the squad, these are the kind of players that you wanna see feature for Man United. And again, another consistent performance, and he can be happy with how he done. A couple of crucial blocks as well. There was times when he won the ball and then overdone it a little bit, but I think on the whole, man, Lenny Yoro and Mazraoui can be very happy with their performance. Harry Maguire, again, another decent display. I think Harry Maguire relishes kind of games like this in a sense, where he's got a midfield in front of him where they're a bit more defensive. And obviously, Man United play the back seven as well. And obviously giving Maguire a lot of protection, which is what he likes really. And again, there was nothing really major wrong with his performance, but tougher tests are ahead, and they got Newcastle on the weekend, which will probably play that game. So I think De Ligt might still be out injured. So yeah, on Sunday we're gonna see how he can continue. Moving into midfield, I thought Casemiro was very good again. It's funny how Casemiro's gone from not playing to all of a sudden now being a crucial player in that midfield. And again, another assured display from Casemiro. I thought he was very good. I think he's defensive nous in terms of interceptions, and knowing how to read danger. I think yeah, man, for sure, he's a very crucial player for Man United right now. I'd keep him next season as part of the squad for sure, but obviously his wage will probably mean that he gets moved on. But yeah, I think personally, man, I'll definitely keep him if he can lower his wage, because players of that experience and that quality don't come around too often. And I think Casemiro, for me, can be very happy with his last few performances for sure. Manuel Ugarte next to him, it's becoming a common theme now with Manuel Ugarte. He starts the game and he comes off when Amorim has to change it. And I would say that's a fault on Amorim, which I'm going to get onto after I've gone through each player. But yeah, Ugarte, as we know, a couple of good interceptions he done, in terms of tracking back as well. But on the ball, he's shocking. And whenever Man United need to go and get a goal, he always comes off, which, again, just shows that the manager doesn't really have any faith in him, let's be honest. And the fact that the manager keeps starting him, is a massive problem. I'd much prefer Ugarte coming on to see out a game. But this manager, again, is just making problems for himself, because you're basically wasting the sub if you're just going to always take him off if the game is not going in Man United's favour, Further forward, the front three. I mean, let's start with Bruno Fernandes first and foremost. Bruno Fernandes does not work as a left 10. Why this manager continues to keep doing this, again, is another failing on the manager. He consistently plays Bruno as a left 10 when Bruno's not a 10. He never has been a 10, even when the formation was different, when they played a 4-2-3-1 and he played in a number 10. He has never been a number 10. And this system here, he hasn't got the ability or the quality in those tight spaces to receive the ball, to play in the half spaces. So just play him as a central midfielder if you're gonna keep playing him, And surprise, surprise, you move him back to central midfield, and he looks better than he did as a left 10. But he was awful in that first half, and the second half he wasn't much better. I know people are gonna start waxing lyrical because he got the assist, but to be honest with you, another average performance. And I did say this about Bruno Fernandes. People was going overboard. When he got the hat trick against Real Sociedad, when he got the goal against Leicester, and since then, these last two performances against Nottingham Forest, last three, should I say, Nottingham Forest, Man City, and now this game, he's been very, very average, which is what I kind of expected, But people will start running away saying he got the assist for Zirkzee's goal, and people will forget about it, And this is the problem in football today. But again, another underwhelming performance, and that's the last 3 games he's played, where really he hasn't even played well. So and then moving on to the last two. Let's start with Garnacho. I mean, I'm not going to dwell too much on this guy. This guy is not good enough. He needs to be moved on. His decision making, his final ball, his quality, you know, um, is just not there. And if Ineos have anything about them, they get rid of this guy in the summer, for sure. Big up, reluctant gamer. Big up, bro, for coming on each and every time. And yeah, he just needs to be moved on, man, because he's just not good enough. And I'm sick and tired of seeing this guy in a lineup. You know, it's gone from now Garnacho being an impact sub to always starting now. And again, this manager, needs serious questions to be asked of him. And finally, we move on to Rasmus Højlund. This guy, and I'll keep on saying it, he is the worst striker I've ever seen at this club. He's comfortably the worst striker in the league. I'd even say there's championship strikers better than him, and that's not even a joke. He's that bad. And what does he do right? Probably ties his shoelaces up properly and gets himself onto the pitch. But other than that, I can't tell you what he does. He can't hold the ball up. When he runs the channels, he's not even that quick, really, when you think about it. Obviously, there's a lot talked about his pace. And to be fair, I don't even think he's that quick, if I'm honest, from what I'm seeing. So he can't hold the ball. He can't link the play. He can't shoot on target. He's got no composure. He's weak as piss. There's a ball got played into the channel. He's running onto it. And the defender, I think it was Clinton Matter, just shoved him onto the floor like a little boy, And yeah, like the quicker this guy's at the club, if Ineos go into next season with this guy as part of the team, I would have to say I'm losing faith in Ineos, because for me, I want this manager out. I've had enough of this manager now. I've seen it. I've seen enough. I don't care if he hasn't got his players. It's no excuse to be playing the same old players that are not good enough. And if Rasmus Højlund is part of this team next season, I think Ineos need to be called into question again, because this guy is nowhere near good enough. But I trust Ineos in the summer to realise this and get rid of this guy, him, Garnacho, and possibly this manager as well, because all 3 of them, for me, need to be gone, for sure. And it brings me on to the subs, and it's very funny how, the likes of Joshua Zirkzee, Kobe Mainu, as soon as those two come on, United look better. They look more threatening. And again, this is an admission from the manager. I mean, Kobe obviously just come out from injury, but the manager is picking the wrong team, and he's having to rectify what he's done in the beginning, because you just start Zirkzee, you don't start Højlund. Højlund's not good. Like, how much more proof do you need to see that Rasmus Højlund just ain't good? I'm sick and tired of seeing the same old thing. I'm just sick and tired of seeing Rasmus Højlund in this lineup. I'm sick and tired of seeing Garnacho in this lineup. I'm sick and tired of seeing Bruno Fernandes play 90 minutes every game. Same old shit. I'm not happy with this result. 2-2, and Lyon weren't even that good. And the funny thing is, Lyon's goal, the second goal, only Ryan Cherky would have scored that. Because if it fell to any other Lyon player, they wouldn't have had the awareness to dink that over Onana. So Ryan Cherky, the way that the ball fell to him, it was ideal that he would produce that finish, And again, he wasn't as Cherky wasn't as effective as his quality would show. But in the key moments, which he done, the finish, and when he got the ball, you can tell he's got flashes of brilliance in him. And as I said, man, this is for me. People be happy with this result, and again, that just shows how low the level is, because the manager for me picked the wrong team. The manager for me had to rely again on so-called players that a lot of fans don't rate. But again, it's the players getting them through, not the manager, because he didn't change anything really. He just put on the better players that should have started the game. And as I said, it's just an absolute joke, man. And now United have got Newcastle on the weekend on Sunday, which, 2-2 draw with Lyon now. Is he gonna play a strong team? Because I reckon he's gonna change the team up. And I think Newcastle still beat us anyway. And then you got the second leg at Old Trafford. And if I'm honest with you, Lyon do keep the ball well, but they didn't. They were pretty much toothless up top, I would say. But I reckon this second leg they're gonna probably look at what they've done wrong and try and change a few things, And I don't know what Man United are going to turn up because I can't trust this manager to play a good team. This manager is inept. As I said, for me, he's no different to Ten Hag. For me, no different to Ten Hag. You know, he's no different. And as bad as it is, I think Ten Hag's teams were actually more funny as it sounds. Ten Hag's teams were more threatening in front of goal. That's how bad it is. To think that you know Man United are probably missing Ten Hag at the moment, which should never be the case. You know, but as I said, this manager is just playing the wrong players consistently. And it's just frustrating to watch, man. And yeah, I'm just pissed off, man. To be honest with you, well and truly pissed off because when I see that lineup, I just thought, nah, he's not going with the same team. And yeah, big up gamer, man. Yeah, listen, 10. I don't even want to say these words because I can't actually believe I'm saying these words. But I'm actually preferring Ten Hag to Amorim, which is crazy because I couldn't stand Ten Hag. I wanted him out. I wanted him out badly. But I think he's actually better than Amorim. He's doing better than what Amorim's showing. Because I don't understand how Amorim can come in when this team is 4 points off a top four. Man United are now 13th. And look at the weekend fixtures. They can easily drop to 14th to 15th. And 2-2 against a Lyon team, really, at home. And Lyon weren't even that good in terms of in front of goal. I think from defence to midfield, they were decent in terms of them keeping the ball. But they weren't great. And again, I know everyone's going to get onto Onana, but if you are going to get onto Onana, you need to get onto Rasmus Højlund, get onto Garnacho, get onto Zirkzee. If everyone's going to get onto those players as well, then I'm here for it. But if it's just Onana, because you think Onana made the two mistakes, Garnacho missed the chance, Højlund missed the chance, Bruno missed the chance, And again, these are the things that are critical that really matter. And as I said, man, the whole thing's an absolute shambles. This has been the worst season I can remember from a Man United team, and last season was bad under Ten Hag. This has been even worse. Even worse, You've got a manager that refuses to adapt, plays the wrong players. And yeah, man, it's just an absolute shit show, man. Absolute shambles of a season, And even if Man United somehow navigate their way through this round, I don't trust Man United to win the whole thing. I don't, because Man United are 13th for a reason. They've had the season they've had for a reason because even in previous seasons, they've been getting away with a lot of murder. You know what I mean? And this season, it seems that it's gone full circle. And the fact that Lyon equalised at the end, again, Lyon weren't that good, but it's karma because Man United have had this coming for a while, I would say. And the next few games they've got coming up, as I said, that 9 games that I spoke about before, which was sandwiched in between Europa League, if you look at it like this, Nottingham Forest lost, Man City drew, Lyon drew, got Newcastle. So far, there's not been one win, and I said the only win I could possibly see, and I'm not even that certain, would have been like a Wolves or a West Ham at home. But I can't actually say that, So yeah, big up DXR. Big up, bro. Big up for coming on, man. Yeah, I do remember you, man. No worries. Big up. So Gamer says, but when this manager took over, were they not already 13th or 14th? Nope. So Gamer, when this manager took over from Van Nistelrooy, Man United were 4 points off a top 4. I believe they were 5th or 6th in the league. They were 4 points off a top four. They're now 13th. So this manager has taken United backwards massively, and Ineos for sure never foresaw this coming. Ineos probably thought bringing Amorim in with his coaching acumen that he would get this team comfortably into top four. Not winning the league, but get them consistent and winning the top four and win it and get them into the top four. You know, and again, I'm hearing he hasn't got his players and this and that, but these same players are bailing him out of games, so we can't really use that excuse. And he meant to be a good coach. This is the main thing. And if you're a good coach, then you should get your team to at least play some sort of decent football. I watch Man United bored. I'm bored every week. This was another shit game to watch for Man United, and yeah, this manager's is I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I don't trust this manager anyway. Because I don't trust him to play the right players. And even if he does get better players, I don't know if he's going to play the right team. He's obsessed with runners, which is weird, But if you look at his system does require that, which is again a massive problem because you need quality in your team. Quality is gonna prevail rather than having 9, 10 runners in your team. Because when it really matters, you're gonna need quality on the pitch to try and get you out to try and get you through games. And he just plays runners. That whole front three is just based on running. There's no quality in that front three. And then you play a midfield of Ugarte and Casemiro. Ugarte's got no quality. Cass has got quality, but he isn't one that you'd look at, to be providing a defense splitting balls, you would say. But yeah, it's mad. It's mad. But big up guys for coming on. Yeah, bro. Talking about Amorim. Yeah, gamer man. He should be out. He should be out. As I said, the title says, I'm done with Amorim. I'm actually done with him now. I was like, last few games, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give him a chance. For him to play this lineup again, and play Højlund, Garnacho, and Bruno as part of a front three, which any clued on manager would know that front three doesn't work. For him to do that again, like he's lost me now, man, and I'm well and truly done with this manager. So I need him out at the end of the season. I don't want Ineos to go into the next season with him, and again, if he does win Europa, you would expect him to stay. But if he doesn't win the Europa and they end up finishing 14th or 15th, get rid of him. Get rid of him and get someone else because the football's even worse. The football's worse than Ten Hag's, believe it or not. It's worse than Ten Hag's, you know. I mean, even Solskjaer. I mean, Solskjaer had to go. Solskjaer's been better than both Ten Hag and Amorim. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. So DXR says, alright, bro, his players are in the Portuguese and that league is weak. Yeah, listen, I don't want to see no manager being given their players. Like, this is nonsense. And in the day, if you're a good coach, you should be coaching your way out of problems, He ain't coaching nothing, because none of these players have got better. You know what I mean? None of these players have got better. And no manager is going to be given 11 players to make their system work. That's not how football works. Because at the end of the day, the only managers that get that are the likes of a Pep or a Klopp, because they've earned the right there. And obviously they've been at their clubs for years. So all this, he needs to get his players. That ain't going to happen. There's no way Ineos are going to give him 8, 9 new players if he isn't doing the job, And again, I don't even want Gyökeres. I don't want Gyökeres, I think in terms of what's available, I'm happy with Liam Delap because I think Delap's overall game, I think if they can get a Delap and let's say an Osman, then I'm happy with that. I don't really want Gyökeres. I'd rather have a Delap, which means definitely getting rid of Højlund. And if you're not going to play Zirkzee as a 9, then you have to get an Osman as well, if that's possible. But for me, I personally want this manager gone and the system changed, because if the system changes, we can revert Joshua Zirkzee back to being a striker. And if you want to get a Delap in as well, I'm happy with that. But one thing's for certain, I'm done with this manager. He needs to go, man. He's just it's just annoying now. You know what I mean? He's doing the same thing that Ten Hag was doing, and I wanted him out, and I'm just done with this manager now. So yeah, nah, Sesko's shit, man. I'm not rating Sesko. I've never rated Sesko. You know, let Arsenal get him. I don't want Sesko coming anywhere near United. Nowhere near it, man. He's not isn't the level that Man United need. You know, I know the current level's low, but he's not someone that Man United should be looking at. Definitely not. Big up Dylan McNeil. So, what you claiming done with the manager, man? The hell he to do with his players? So, Dylan, big up for coming on. What I would say, Dylan, I'm done with this manager because with me, I like to give managers chances. And for too long, he has shown me that he isn't the right manager for this club because you don't play that front three again. You just don't do that because you've got Joshua Zirkzee, yeah, who has been very good for the last couple of months for United. You've got Højlund, who has got 3 league goals and has been clearly struggling. Garnacho has got what? Hasn't scored in I think it went 20-something games. And you play that front three. And we already know that Bruno Fernandes cannot play as a left 10. To play that front three again, yeah, that's where he lost me, because you just don't do that. You don't do that. And ultimately, he got what was deserved, because Zirkzee comes on and gets the goal. And then, you're basically admitting that you should have started the guy really anyway, because there's no excuse for Zirkzee to be on the bench for Rasmus Højlund for 2 games running. There's no excuse for that. And as I said previously, there ain't no manager in world football that is going to get 11 new players unless you're Pep or Klopp, who earned the right to stay at their current clubs, So to say that he hasn't got his players, he ain't going to get all these players. So I'm not sure where this nonsense is coming from, He needs to prove that he's good enough to be a Man United manager for the long term. And then if Ineos see that, then they'll get him his players. But at the moment, why does he deserve more players when he ain't even getting the job done with the current ones? And again, these current players ain't great. But if you're meant to be this good coach that everyone says, you should be coaching better players, which is what he ain't doing. Better performances, which is what he ain't doing. So Dylan says, who else you want if Amorim out? Do you know what? Just get me a manager that's going to play good football. Good football and play the right players. It's not too much to ask, My original favourite was Zidane, which again, Zidane was never coming because Zidane really needs a ready-made team. I wanted Roberto De Zerbi. But right this moment, right now, just get me a coach that is going to coach players, play a system which is going to get the best out of the players you have already. Bring in better quality, play the best players, and let's go and win. That's all I ask for, because I'm just done with all these coaches that come in and have a philosophy, and then you get excited, then they play the wrong players. I'm done with all that. I'm fed up with all that. Ten Hag fooled us, and Amorim has fooled us as well now. Let's be honest. Amorim is the same as Ten Hag. Like, I thought Amorim was going to come in and be different, but he's just doing the same thing that Ten Hag does, continuously playing Bruno Fernandes. No matter how he plays, playing Rasmus Højlund, playing Garnacho. Like, I'm sick of it, man. So just get me a good coach, man, that's going to play good football and win and play the best players. That's all I ask for, So DXR says, coaches make your current lineup better. What do you mean, DXR? In terms of what? What do you mean? What do you mean? Coaches make your current lineup better. Amorim's meant to be a coach, and what's he doing at the moment? He's not coaching his players to be better. I'd even argue they got worse. The football's shit. So I don't know what coaches you're talking about, but all I'd say is that he has to adapt to the players. Because you're meant to be a good coach, and he's just being a bit stubborn, and he's playing the wrong players. So, yeah. So Dylan says, "No, give me more than that. Can't use that. Don't buy into his opinions." Dylan, explain yourself. I'm not quite sure what you're talking. I don't know what you're. Oh, you're talking to DXR. So Gamer says, bro, I googled what position in the league were Man United when Amsterdam they were 14th. It says, no, that's not. No, that's not true. When Amorim took over from Van Nistelrooy, Man United were 4 points off the top four. Check it out, Gamer. They were definitely 4 points off of the top four. They were nowhere 14th. They were nowhere 14th. I know they weren't 14th. Amorim got them into 14th. Yeah. So Dylan says these players are right shit, but I'm for Amorim bringing his players in, and if he fails, he fails. Unfair to go after the manager on players. Dylan, answer this question, Dylan. Yeah, tell me what manager apart from Pep and Klopp has got their own team. Because if you're saying that he needs to bring in his own players, you know, he hasn't earned the right to bring in his own players. And why would Ineos give him 5 or 6 new players when he's not doing a good job with the current ones he has? This is what it's about. Like this all, you know, he gets his own players is an excuse that's being made. Because, you know, if you're Ineos, why would you give him new players when you don't trust him to use the ones that he's got anyway? You know, it'd be different if he was performing with these players, you know, and they had a respectable, they were doing respectable in the league, you know, and playing good football. Then I would hear that argument. But for what he's currently showing, why would you as an owner give him new players or give him a new team? He's got to earn the right to go and do that, which he hasn't done. So yeah, I'm not really buying that, man. But big up for yourself for your comment. Also, for the record, I take no I will do what I'm saying. Simply just listen, bro. Listen, it's about opinions, man. I'm not disregarding your opinion. I'm just trying to give you a different angle as to why Ineos would give him 5 or 6 new players when he's not doing a good job with the ones he has already. And this is the problem. This is the problem, you know. And as I said, I've seen too much of this manager now to know that he ain't the man that I thought he was in terms of taking Man United forward, you know, regardless if he gets his players or not. When you're playing consistently the wrong players, you know, that does it for me. Ten Hag done that, and that's why I wanted Ten Hag out as soon as possible. You know, Man United, the best manager Man United have had is Louis van Gaal for me. Because Louis van Gaal played the right players and he coached these players properly. And you have to look at the kind of players he had at his disposal as well. He didn't have the likes of a Paul Pogba and an Ibrahimovic and all these kind of players, you know. So this is what I'm trying to say to you, man. Like, Amorim can be doing a lot better with the players he has, you know. But when you're picking the wrong players, this is where I draw the line, really, because it's just not good enough. Gamer says Man U should have approached Tuchel. Do you know what? I didn't really want Tuchel, but again, you know, just get me a manager that's going to play good football. That's all I ask for. For too long, man, I've been watching Man United play like this. And again, Gamer, we've got your team on Sunday, and I'm telling you this right now: United don't win that game. I can see Newcastle winning that 2-0. You know, because United are going to change their team up with the second leg in mind, and confidence is going to be a bit fragile as well now. So yeah, man. That's all I got to say about that. Dylan says, I agree. He ain't proved he deserves a full 11, but I believe most of this squad got to go. A few of Ten Hag's signings got to go. Listen, Rasmus Højlund, get him out of there. Garnacho, get him out of there. Listen, there's loads, man. Yeah, we all know he needs players, but as I said to you already, you know, he has to earn the right, and he hasn't earned the right, man. And yeah, it's just poor. So Dylan says, if you have 11 on the pitch and 3 or more than poor, may as well have 3 red cards. Then if they ain't contributing. Yeah, listen, the whole team isn't good enough to go to where Man United need to go to. But what I would say is these players are bailing the manager out because it isn't the manager's substitutions. You know, he keeps picking the wrong team to start with and then having to bring on the players, the better players, and they're bailing him out. That's what's happening. So, but as I said, man, he has to earn the right to get his team. Big up Sam. So Sam says no, Onana cost us tonight. Well, what I would say, Sam, again, Onana's gonna get the he's gonna get the criticism coming his way. You know, the first one was poor. There's no defending that. The second one, you know, was a little bit harsh, but again, he did palm it into the area. You know, a better keeper probably puts it wide, you know, and not into the area. But as again, only Ryan Cherky scores that goal because the quality that Cherky has, if that fell to any other Lyon player, I don't think they would have had the awareness to dink it over the keeper, you know. But what I would say, although you might think Onana did cost us tonight, serious question marks have to be asked about this manager and Bruno Fernandes. As I said, you know, it's all well and good when people are getting excited when he's scoring a hat-trick against 10-man Real Sociedad, when he's scoring against Leicester, who are poor and will get relegated. But the last three games against Nottingham Forest, Man City, and now Lyon, what's he really done apart from, you know, people were wax lyrical because he got an assist today for Zirkzee, but his general play again hasn't been great. It's just been average, you know. And Rasmus Højlund and Garnacho, these two players here need to be gone in the summer because, as I keep saying, when you're playing a front three that consists them two, what do you expect's going to happen? You know, they're two of the worst players in the squad, you know, and two that are protected by this fan base. And this fan base are deluded. And until this fan base, you know, start being serious with themselves, this club ain't going anywhere because they're latching on to these kind of players. And these players ain't good enough. It's as simple as that, man. Simple as that. Yeah, listen, man, I ain't looking forward to this Newcastle game. I think Newcastle win that 2-0. Gamer, if I'm you, I'm going, man. If I'm you, I'm going to go and watch that game because you will enjoy that game, I promise you. Because Newcastle are going for top four. You know, they win that game, that puts them into the top four as well. And then they got the game in hand against Crystal Palace on the Wednesday. So I don't see United winning that game away from home. I don't see it. Put it that way. Big up Kate the Gamer. Big up for coming on. So Sam says we would have had won 2-0 without Onana. Nah, Sam, that's not how football works, man. That's easy to say that, but that's not how football works because yes, Onana made that mistake, but you don't know if the game would have stayed at 1-1, if the game would have stayed at 1-0 to United. You don't know if United would have got that goal because the game might have been cagier. You know, they might have been a bit more defensive. So that's not how football works to say that if Onana doesn't make them two mistakes, it's 2-0. That's not football. That's not how it works. There's such thing called momentum, you know, and as I said, the two mistakes that he made are unforgivable. The first one definitely, second one a bit harsh, but in terms of saying that United would have won 2-0 without Onana, that isn't true. That's not how football works. Gamer says, but in-house is better unless it's a bigger game. Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm someone that likes to watch the games from my own comfort at home because you can probably you can take the game in properly and make a judgment rather than hearing the outside noise. I mean, yeah, you got to deal with these commentators, but most of the times I watch it on mute if anything, but or the volume's down very low and just watch the game properly myself. But if I'm you, I'm going to the game, man. If that'd be a good experience. And again, I believe Newcastle will win that easy as well. Dylan says, sorry, my message all over the place. I'm half blind and a bit drunk, but big up to you and make you sorry. Yeah, Dylan, listen, man. Big up for coming on, as I said, man. As I said, you know, as long as it's respectful, you know, you can put in your comments. If you don't agree, we don't agree. And we can obviously have dialogue, man. But yeah, big up yourself for coming on. Guys, again, if you haven't smashed that like button or subscribe to my channel, make sure you do. Okay, and check out my other content. Big up to Dennis Kaya. Big up to Rajat as well. So, Wrestling Gamer says, do you think Arsenal will go through? Again, I think I answered this earlier today. I mean, everything points towards Arsenal going through to the next round. You know, Of course, they're in the driving seat, 3-0 up against Real Madrid. And for sure, in this second leg, they're going to go into a low block and try and hit them on the counter using Saka and Martinelli's pace on the flanks. For me, I don't know why, but I've got a sneaky feeling Real Madrid they're gonna do something mad. I don't know why I'm thinking like that, but I've seen it all too many times with Real Madrid. Where you think they're down and out, they they always come up. But I think, as I said today, if Arsenal can get through the first 20 minutes of the game and withstand the pressure, then I can see Arsenal holding on and going through. But I think if Real Madrid can get a goal in the first 10 minutes of the game, I'm gonna say Real Madrid are gonna do a mad comeback, because with that crowd behind them, the football heritage as well that Real Madrid have in the Champions League, I can see something happening. But for me, it's all about the first 20 minutes in the second leg. But for sure, man, Arsenal are the favourites. So you'd have to say at the moment, yeah, they're the favourites to go through. Dylan says, I don't rate Onana, Højlund, Bruno, too inconsistent and can't hold a position. Yeah, again, Højlund's poor. Onana for me, he is a problem, but I don't think he's a bigger problem than someone like Højlund. I think Højlund's just, there's nothing he does right, yeah? And the thing with Bruno, and again, I'll tell people to ignore listening to these pundits, especially Robbie Savage. I mean, Robbie Savage is a clown anyway, you know what I mean? But there was a point in the game where Bruno Fernandes charged from the left all the way to the right, and basically he charged all the way from left to the right and was ill-disciplined in his position. And then Robbie Savage was saying that you see the way Bruno how hard Bruno works, and to force an error. Now, you see how dumb Robbie Savage is that if you've got a team that are all competent on the ball, they're comfortable on the ball, and they're just popping it around the player, that there is why Bruno needs to curb that. Because if you're playing against a better team and he goes and does that and they pop it around him, you're now out of position, which means that someone now has to come across and cover your area. So the fact that the likes of Robbie Savage can say how hard Bruno works because he charged from one side of the pitch to the other, again, it just shows that these commentators ain't got a clue what's going on in football. A lot of these pundits and these commentators, they're a massive problem, because they ain't got a clue. Because if he thinks that Bruno Fernandes charging around is effective, let me tell you now, if he done that against a Barcelona or a PSG, let's say, they'll just pop it round him, and there's a massive space because he's trying to be a hero and try and shut everyone down. So again, things like that, don't listen to these pundits, because they ain't got a clue what's going on, And Bruno's ill discipline, is a massive problem, because there's times in the game where he thinks he has to go and do that. Again, a lot of the fans will get up for that, but against a better team, they'll just pop it around him, and he's out of position, and it's just needless running. So, but yeah, big up for your comment. Big up NF fan for life. Big up, is it Calix? Yeah, big up. Yeah, listen, Garnacho's never been good. I've seen so many players come through the Man United youth system. Ravel Morrison, Mason Greenwood, Paul Pogba, Giuseppe Rossi, obviously was bought from Parma but was in the reserve team. Lee Martin, Angel Gomez, Kobe obviously now as well. I've seen so much quality come through that Man United youth system and the reserves, and Garnacho is by far one of the worst ones, along with Brandon Williams. Another guy that I had some fans tell me that Brandon Williams was the next Dennis Irwin. And look how that worked out. So, again, man, it's just about people trying to force this Garnacho. He ain't good enough, and in the summer, he needs to be moved on. I don't want to be seeing Garnacho and Højlund as part of this squad, because I've seen enough, and I saw from when they very first broke onto the scene. When Garnacho first broke on, it was probably a bit of a breath of fresh air, because United was struggling and he was something a little bit different. But he ain't good enough. He's poor, and Rasmus Højlund, as I said, is the worst striker in the league. So yeah, Dylan, big up, man, for every session. Yeah, listen, Yeah, big up yourself, man. I can do this all night, if I could. Um, yeah, Tottenham drew, man. Hugo Ekatike getting the goal for Eintracht Frankfurt. One of my best players. One of my favorite players, should I say? Playing for Eintracht Frankfurt now. If anyone remembers Mario Götze, what a player he was coming through. His combination with Marco Reus and Robert Lewandowski at Dortmund and Ilkay Gundogan in behind that. That's when Dortmund were at their best for me. But yeah, Götze's getting on a bit now. But yeah, Tottenham managed to get a draw. Obviously, Pedro Porro got the equaliser after good play from Madison. Um, I don't really know this second leg because Frankfurt are good at home, and Tottenham's season rests on this second leg as well. So you've got Tottenham, Man United. Basically, their two managers, their seasons rest in the second leg. And I think at least one of them is gonna be disappointed, if not both. So yeah, it's gonna be a problem, man. Would I take Pochettino? Do you know what? When he was at Tottenham, I would have taken Pochettino, but again, I wouldn't take him now. I don't think because I'm just sick and tired of these managers that I think are gonna show something different and they don't. And what Pochettino done at Chelsea as well, playing certain players in weird positions. He kind of lost me as well. So no, I wouldn't take Pochettino now. I wouldn't. Um, Big up Rajat. Rajat says, why? What did Ruben do? So for a start, he picked the wrong team. That's enough. He picked the wrong team again and had to rely on the players that he should have started to basically get them 2-1 up, and then obviously the equaliser at the end. But yeah, for me, I'm done with Amorim now. I need him out of the club now. I don't really, you know, I don't see United winning this Europa. I don't. And for me, that'll be enough for me to say, yeah, let's let Man United get someone different if they can, because yeah, I've seen too much of this manager now. He's just doing the same thing as Ten Hag, man, and I've had enough of him now. Gamer says Arsenal 2 goals would do. I can see Real scoring 4 happen with Liverpool. Yeah, I mean Real Madrid at home are capable of scoring 4 goals. That ain't the problem, but it just depends if they can get an early goal. Because I think if they get an early goal, momentum and the crowd behind them, the confidence, it could bring them back into the tie. But I think if Arsenal was to lose it from here, I, I think Arteta will have to be called into question if that was to happen. So, but yeah, it's going to be a great game, I think, for second leg anyway. Um, so yeah, Newcastle nearly got Ekatike. Yeah, I know. There was talk about them replacing Isak with him. So if Isak was to leave, then Ekatike could be the replacement. I think if Newcastle are clever, and as I said to you already, Gamer, if Newcastle can get Mbuemo to play on that right-hand side as an inverted left footer, and then get either Johan Visser, who's got a relationship with Mbuemo already, or getting Ekatike to compete with Newcastle, with Isak, sorry, and they get a centre-back, a top-class centre-back and a goalkeeper, I would go as far as saying that's title contenders there. Just by getting in, I think if they get in 4 players, 3 starters, top class centre back, a goalkeeper, a right winger, and another striker to compete with Isak, to go with what they've got already, that's title contenders right there for me. Newcastle, I would say. Rajat says Minu is average and crap too. Don't rate him that much. He's injured too often. So Kobe Minu isn't average and he isn't crap. So I don't agree with that. What I would say is that Kobe Minu is far from the finished article. And again, he's someone that in this system, he's a 10 in this system, but he's still got a long way to go in his career. And I think Man United fans have been so starved throughout the years. They're trying to force Kobe Minu into a player that he's not really, So again, he needs time to just grow and find a place in this team, which is as a 10. But to say that he's average and crap, he's not. He's one of the most talented players in the squad. But obviously, the rumours that the money that he's been asking for, again, is madness. You know, I think he's asking for 150, which ain't right. For me, if he's getting more than Ahmad, who I think Ahmad's on 90, that's a problem in itself because he's not better than Ahmad. But if the club was to give him 100 grand, he should just be grateful with that and then try and work his way to get a new contract. But for me, to say that he's average and crap, no, he's not, man. You're way off with that one. He's just someone that, you know, he's had a stop-start season with injury, you know, and form. But the manager, I blame the manager because in this system, the manager should know that he doesn't play as a 2 in this system. You know, if you're playing a 4-2-3-1, then he could get away with playing in that system. But in this 3-4-2-1, you don't play Kobe as one of the sitting midfielders because that position there requires experience and legs, which is what Kobe hasn't got. You know, Kobe's someone that needs to pick the ball up in the half spaces, get in between the lines, and use his quick feet and his shooting ability to either create or score. You know, and the manager saw that too late. But let's hope he can see that to the end of the season. So Rajat says, if they had Cristiano Ronaldo, then Real is probably going to come back. What, Ronaldo now? If you're thinking about Ronaldo now, then again, you're way off, man. Because Ronaldo's, 40? So there's nothing he would do now. So I don't really get that one. If you're talking about the Cristiano Ronaldo from before, then yeah, that's more of an argument. But to say that Ronaldo now, if you're talking about him now, would come and do something, again, man, I think you're living in the past. But big up your comment anyway. Toe Johnson says, not a United fan, but even I can see it's not Amorim. It's the players. He's using 10 Hag players until he gets his own. Only then he can be judged. Only my opinion. Yeah, listen up, Toe Johnson. Big up for your opinion, man. Big up your opinion. But what I would say to you, as I've said earlier, okay, when you're saying he's using 10 Hag's players, that is correct. You know, not all of them are 10 Hag players, but the majority of them are. But what I would say, Ruben Amorim was brought in because he was a good coach, first and foremost. He took over when United were 4 points off a top 4. They're now 13th in the league in the bottom half. And again, he's changed the system to play a 3 at the back, which again is up to him. But the problem is that if you're meant to be a good coach, you should be able to coach, as bad as these players are, these players to play better in this system. You know, the fact that United are 13th in 13th position, have played shit football all season, and you're saying that he needs his own players. As I said earlier, you told me a manager in world football, apart from Pep and Klopp, who had longevity at these clubs. You told me what manager gets their own players, gets nine or 10 new players. It doesn't happen because you have to earn your way to get these players, you know. And at the moment, Ten Hag hasn't earned the right to not Ten Hag, sorry, Amorim hasn't earned the right to get a whole new team. You know, if I'm Ineos now, I just move him on because if he doesn't win the Europa, because there's no way that if I'm Ineos, I'm giving him new players because I don't trust him to play the right team in the first place. You know, to play that front 3 today is criminal. And as I said, big up your opinion, but you have to tell me why does Amorim deserve to get his own players for the way that the team's been performing? We know these players are rubbish. We know that. But I can guarantee you now, you bring in a coach that will either slightly adapt to the players, you know, or coach these players, you probably get more out of them. But he's not doing that, you know, and we can't just keep blaming the players. The players, we know the majority of these players ain't good enough. But the manager has to take criticism as well because he's deciding to play certain players, you know. He's deciding to persist with playing the way that he's playing. And he's got to take the brunt of it, really, you know. And again, to say if he has his own players, he can't be judged. He ain't going to be getting his own players if he's performing like this. Because let's be honest with you, as I said already, if United finish below 13th in 14th or 15th position, God forbid if they finish one place above the relegation places and they don't win Europa League, he has to be sacked on the spot. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. Big up Abayomi Ojolade says, done with Amorim. He coached a great game. Was he supposed to coach a professional goalkeeper how to catch a football? Yeah, big up Abayomi for coming on. But as I said, when you're saying he coached a great game, that's incorrect because he picked the wrong team to start with. You know, again, Onana was at fault for the first goal, no doubt in that. United had chances, which again they didn't take. But the very fact that he started the same team against Man City, for me, he made the mistake there and then. So to say that he coached a great game, again, he didn't, because the players that came on are the ones that made United play better football. They had an instant impact. Joshua Zirkzee, Kobe Minu, Mason Mount's poor, but he had a bit more of an effect than what Garnacho and Hoyland did. So he didn't coach a great game. He just got bailed out by, again, the players. And regardless of the goalkeeper, it was a shit game. And yeah, he picked the wrong team, man. So he didn't coach a great game. But big up for your comment. So he already earned the right from Sporting, bro. What are you spitting? He did the same at Sporting, and which was why he was brought in. Klopp and Pep had their balance in the bank from previous jobs. Right. So again, Abayomi, I'm glad you're coming out with this, but you need to think what you're writing. So you said he already earned the right from Sporting. Okay. So what's he earned the right to do? So you're saying because he done a good job at Sporting, he earned the right to get his own players at Man United. Before he's even stepped foot into the door? Is that what you're saying? Because as I said already, he came to the club when they were 4 points off of the top four. They're now in 13th position. Yeah. So as I said, Klopp and Pep had longevity at Man City and Liverpool because they earned the right to be there. Obviously, Klopp and Pep didn't win the titles in their first seasons, but you could clearly see there was a philosophy being built there, and they were going in the right direction. You didn't see Man City or Liverpool find themselves in 13th place, and again, Man United were 4 points off of the top four before this manager took over. Yeah, so Klopp and Pep earned the right to be at the club for the long term as they were, and they earned the right to get their players in. This manager has been here, yeah. I can't remember what month he came in there, but he's been there the majority of the season, and the club have got worse. They've got worse under his tenure, and and the club was bad under Ten Hag. He's taken them backwards because, as I said, they were 4 points from when he took over from Van Nistelrooy as caretaker manager, and they're in the Europa League. And again, the Europa League is their only saving grace because if he wins the Europa League, I'd expect Ineos, to give him another season, or at least give him the start of the season. And then, they might bring him in a couple of players. But for me, I don't even trust him to play the right players because to play that front three is criminal. So when you're saying that he earned the right at Sporting, how can you earn the right at Sporting before you've even stepped foot through the door? Because you've got to prove yourself at Man United. This isn't Sporting. So I'm not quite sure where you're going with this one, but he hasn't earned no right. And again, I'll say it one more time. If I'm Ineos, why would I be giving him a whole new 6-7 players? No manager ever gets that. So again, you got to earn the right to be here, man. Big up Rajat, right? It says, didn't Eric Ten Hag get more out of players like Fred, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire to some extent? So again, I don't think he got much out of them players, if I'm honest. Fred, Wan-Bissaka and Maguire. But what I will say is that Ineos brought in Ugarte and let Fred go. Ugarte is not better than Fred. He's not. Fred and Ugarte both are ball winners. They both run around like mad dogs, really. But Fred has more quality on the ball than Ugarte. So this Ugarte signing, and again, when I see that Luis Enrique wanted to get rid of Ugarte, question marks should have been raised because you can clearly see that the way Enrique's playing with the midfield he's got in Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha and João Neves. and Ugarte just didn't fit that. And again, Luis Enrique's come from Barcelona, so he needs midfielders that can control the game. And Ugarte is just good when the other team has the ball, so he can intercept. So the fact that Ugarte was brought in and the likes of Fred was let go, again doesn't make any sense. Wan-Bissaka, again, he was never he was never a signing for Man United really, but he got brought in because of his defensiveness, But on the ball, he wasn't good enough as a right back, And Harry Maguire again, he's someone that should have been moved on, but again, if he's like a fifth choice centre back, then it's not a problem. But three at the back actually makes Maguire feature more now. So I don't really know what's going to happen in the future with him. But I wouldn't say Ten Hag got more out of them, got more than Ollie out of the players. You know what I mean? I just think it was just wrong appointments from the start. Ollie should never have been appointed. Ten Hag, when he first came, I was excited at the appointment, but I quickly realised that this manager is out of his depth. And Amorim, again, he's proven the same. So yeah, he has to go, man, for me. So Abayomi says, so he should have started players who just got back from injury after months out, yeah. So that's not what I'm saying. So again, listen to what I'm saying. Yeah. Again, Kobe Mine's just come back from injury. So necessarily, I'm not saying that he should have started the game. But what should have happened is that Rasmus Højlund should not have started that game. Joshua Zirkzee should have started the game, And I would have even played Mason Mount ahead of Garnacho. So that's what he should have done. He should have had those two changes in mind. Or better yet, you don't start Ugarte. You play Bruno next to Casemiro. You play Zirkzee in the 9. And you can play Mount or even Christian Eriksen. But the fact that you're going with runners, Garnacho, Bruno, and Højlund as your front three, what do you expect? Like, that front three is never going to work. There's no quality there. They're just all runners. And if you don't understand that, man, then fair enough. But I'm not saying Kobe should have started the game just coming from injury, but I'm saying Zirkzee should have. And even Mason Mount, as much as I don't really rate Mason Mount, but he's got more quality than Garnacho. That's my point. So Rajat says, can be wrong, but that's what it seems. At least the year Man United won that Carabao Cup in third place. Big up Toe Johnson. Yeah, no worries, man. Sorry, a tad delayed. If you're saying that any good manager should get a player to play his system, why doesn't Pep get Richard Wood from Doncaster Rovers to play his system? He won't suit it. So T Johnson, when did I say that any good manager should get a player to play system? What I never said that. What I'm trying to say is that Amorim was brought in because first and foremost he's a good coach. If you're a good coach, you need to be coaching your players to get better. Because if he wasn't brought in for that, just keep Van Nistelrooy in charge then. Because Van Nistelrooy would have got more out of this team. So my point is, I'm not saying that any good manager should get a player to play his system. If you're meant to be brought in because you're a good coach, you should be coaching the players you have at your disposal. And then if you can prove that you're going to get better out of these players for your system, then that's when Ineos will look at you and think, you know what? He's done well with the players he has. Let's give him better players. But he hasn't shown that. That's my point. So, and then you're saying until Amorim gets players who can play a 3-4-3, only then he'd get judges, you get me. Yeah. But again, United are not playing a 3-4-3. They're playing a 3-4-2-1 because the 3-4-3 system is wide forwards. The 3-4-2-1 are left and right 10s. So they're not playing a 3-4-3. They're playing a 3-4-2-1. Again, they've got players that don't play that system. Bruno Fernandes can't play as a left hand in the system. Garnacho's a winger and doesn't suit this system. So again, he's profiling the wrong players in the wrong system, in the wrong positions. So again, that's a failure on the manager, And as I said to you already, you keep saying that he's going to get, and again, it's your opinion, don't get me wrong, but you keep saying that until Amorim gets his players, how many players do you think he's going to get? Because if you think that he's going to get 7, 8 players, that's not going to happen. And again, he's going to have to do well with the players he has anyway to get that time, because Ineos are not going to come in and say, there you go, Ruben, here's 7 players. They're not going to do that. So again, this is what I'm trying to say to you. If you're a good coach, you should be coaching the players that you have and getting them better, which is what he's not doing. Big up Matthew Who 96 says, I understand the frustration but what could we do next if Amorim is to go? As I said earlier, just get me a good manager that plays good football. You know what I mean? I'm not that fussed, because my preference was Zidane, which ain't gonna happen. Then it was De Zerbi. He's at Marseille. I just want a good manager now. I like what's his name at Bournemouth, Andoni Iraola. I think he's a good coach. Thomas Frank, I wouldn't mind Thomas Frank. I just want to see a manager that's going to play good football, because I'm bored. I'm so bored of watching this team. He plays the wrong players, as I say. Consistently the wrong players are playing, and it's a hard watch. I'm watching Man United out of how many years I've supported them, not because I actually enjoy watching them play football, because it's a hard watch. And just get me a proper coach, man, that's going to coach players to be better. And most importantly, just play the right players, play the better players. So Rajat says, maybe then it's a formation issue, as players don't seem to agree on playing this 3-5-2 or this 3-4-2-1. Again, as a manager, you have to adapt to the players that you have. If you're going to be stubborn and just play your system because that's the system you want to play, you're gonna hit a roadblock sooner or later, because if players can see that it's not working, they're gonna be disillusioned. And let's face it, the players are more important than the actual manager, because you can't sack 11 players, but you can sack a manager if he's not getting the results. So that's how it works, man. And the formation isn't an issue. The 3-4-2-1, it's not an issue. But the players he has at his disposal, again, are not suited to the formation. But again, if you just know the profile of, for example, a Garnacho, you can clearly see Garnacho is not a 10. So why he keeps playing him as a 10 when he drifts out when he drifts out wide anyway, again, is poor. Christian Eriksen's a 10, so just play him in the 10. And then if you want to play Garnacho, play him as a wing-back, because his characteristics suit him to be in a wing-back, not to be in a 10. Bruno Fernandes can't play in a 10 in this system. He's not a 10 anyway. But in this system, he can't play as a 10. Kobe Manu can play in a 10 in this system. He can't play as one of the 2 in midfield. These things are just common sense. And he's choosing to play Garnacho continuously in the 10. The 10 is a very specific position in this team. You need to be good on the ball, good in tight spaces, good in the half spaces, good on the turn, which Garnacho isn't, And again, Ahmad's out injured, and Ahmad was playing better as a wing-back anyway, even though I do want to see Ahmad going forward in the 10. But you need to have players that's good enough to get him the ball in the tight spaces. But if he continuously keeps playing Garnacho, what do you expect? Because he's not a 10. And again, I look at the manager, you've got a Christian Eriksen that can play there, but you're choosing to play Garnacho because he runs. And again, that's the manager for you. And there's no defense really for that. So, mate, T-John says, mate, Ugarte is better than Fred. There's a reason why one playing in Turkey and many clubs wanted Ugarte. So again, big up T. Johnson for your comment, but it doesn't really make any sense. So you think because Fred's in Turkey and Ugarte is at Man United, that automatically qualifies him to be better than Fred? That makes no sense. Ugarte is a ball winner. Fred's a ball winner. Fred's better in the ball. Ugarte isn't. So if you think Ugarte is better than Fred, then I'm sorry, he's not. He's not. It's just that Man United fans just wanted a new toy, really. And Fred was often a scapegoat. Fred was someone that wasn't good in the first phase of play, in terms of taking the ball deep from the defense, which wasn't his game. But one thing Fred had, he never hid. You know what I mean? And if you think Ugarte is better than Fred, then I'm sorry to tell you, he's not. He offers the same thing that Fred offered in terms of the work rate and the running, but Fred's actually better on the ball than him. So the fact that Fred's playing in Turkey and Ugarte is at Man United that don't mean nothing. Because I can tell you this for free. If Ugarte was any good, then PSG wouldn't have got rid of him. Because a lot of these fans say that the French league is the Farmers League, yeah, but the Farmers League offloaded Ugarte to Man United, so work that one out. You know what I mean? Um, so Unknown Devil says, how can you be against Amorim when he coached 2-0 win? You do realize that Onana cost us the same way he cost the Champions League campaign last season. So what I would say is he didn't coach a win. That's a load of nonsense. But big up for your comment anyway. Yes, we understand that Onana did. Obviously, you can say he was at fault for both the goals, but he didn't coach a win because at the end of the day, if that Onana goal doesn't go in, who's to say that Lyon wouldn't have scored another goal? Because that's how football works. You know, they might have got another goal in a different situation. You know, even the goal that Euro scored, you know, it would have been a different phase of play probably. So because Onana cost both goals, that doesn't mean that it would have been a 2-0 game. That's not how football works, you know, because momentum is a real thing. So what I would say is that, yes, Onana was at fault definitely for the first goal. Second goal, a little bit harsh, but you don't know if the game would have ended up 1-1. You know what I mean? The game could have ended up just 1-0 to Man United. Like, we don't know how the game would have gone personally, but to say that he coached a 2-0, which is a lie. Again, Zirkzee come off the pitch, who should have started and got the goal. So he didn't coach a 2-0 win. He just basically got lucky because the players that should have started, basically one of them bailed him out, really. So, yeah. Yeah, listen, T. Johnson, man, big up yourself, man. As I say, you know, football's about opinions, man. You know, I'm never gonna disrespect anyone's opinion, but I will always try and give you a different angle to to understand, really. You know, because that's what it's about, man. But yeah, big up yourself, man. And as I said, if you haven't smashed that like button, guys, or you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do. Obviously, I'm on my road to 1K, and as I said, if you got any other comments to make, guys, feel free, man. As long as it's respectful, you know. As I said, we're not here to agree on every point. It's about dialogue, you know, and it's about having a different angle for a conversation. So big up yourselves. So Johnson says, I agree with you. It will take time for Amram to get his players, which is disgusting from manager. And I see where you're coming from now because of the situation he needs to coach. Yeah. Listen, that's what it's about, man. As I said, if Amorim was doing a good job with this team in this system, and the team were playing good football and they weren't 13th in the league, then I'll be saying, you know what, yeah, Amorim does deserve to get his players. But how he's performing right now with the team where they are in the league, the football that United are playing, and the tie in the balance, regardless of the Onana mistakes, his job is going to be called into question. And if I'm Ineos, I'm not trusting him with giving him new players just based on that. So he's got it all to prove, man. As I said, if he wins Europa League, then for me he deserves the start of the season, regardless if I don't like the players he plays consistently. But he would deserve a start of the season if he wins the Europa League. But if he doesn't and the team end up where they are, he has to be sacked for me. There's no arguing that. Rajat says, Ange is worse than Amorim, but is still hired by Tottenham. He's what, 40? Yeah, so again, I do like Ange Postecoglou as a manager. I do think the way he plays is, is a bit gung-ho at times, but I like the way that he sticks to his principles in terms of how he plays. But again, if he doesn't win this Europa League for Tottenham, then he's going to be gone, and rightfully so, because you can't be bottom half with Tottenham in the league and then not win Europa. So for me, either him or Amorim are going to be on the chopping block, and rightfully so. You know, rightfully so. Even though if I do rate Postecoglou. Yeah, big up Matthew who. DXR says, will Amorim make it till December 2025? It depends, man. It depends it depends how serious Ineos are, really. If Ineos have anything about them and he doesn't win, um, and he doesn't win the Europa, then they're gonna have a choice to make, man. So that's what I would say. Just gonna go through a few more guys before I wrap, but big up everyone for coming on. As I said, make sure you smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to my channel at Gav Goes In. And guys, check out my other content. So there's some good content on there. Check out my shorts and that as well. And as I say, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. So the Quiet Tactician says, a manager can't score goals. He's not on the pitch. We have terrible finishers. So again, that's a very simplistic way of looking at it. The manager can't score the goals. He's not on the pitch, but he can pick the right team. And picking Hoyland is a problem. So if he continues picking Hoyland, then he's only got himself to blame because no one told him to start Hoyland. You know, even I don't think Cheeto's not available, but Zirkzee was there. Just start Zirkzee. He's better than Hoyland. And again, he's not doing much for Hoyland's confidence because Hoyland knows his shit, and if you keep playing Hoyland, his confidence is gonna be even more on the floor. Rajat says on Portugal, Bruno more 8 type. Yeah. Bruno is an 8. He's a central midfielder. He's never been a 10. He's not a left 10. He's not a right 10. He's a central midfielder. And again, he's someone that needs to be moved on for the betterment of the team, because this guy's been in the team for ages. He plays every game, and it's clearly not a good thing for the club as a whole and the team as a whole. They need to move away from Bruno Fernandes and let someone else come through and have a reign in the team, man. Because as when Bruno's been there, you know what I mean. What's the team really done? Let's be honest, not much. Rajat says, kind of red flag when they used the Ugarte money to get João Neves transferred into the club. Yeah, wait, kind of red flag they used it. So, yeah, so again, PSG are clever. They sold Man United a dud in Ugarte and then got João Neves in, who's younger, who's better on the ball, who suits their system. And now Man United are lumbered with a guy that really and truly gets hyped up because, again, he runs around and he appeals to the fan base because he's heart and passion. But in the reality, he ain't a good player. And these kind of players are not going to survive if Man United are being serious. It's as simple as that. I can't really make it any more clearer. He just ain't good. He has his place in the squad, I would say. But if he's a starter for Man United ain't doing anything serious. So we need a young, charismatic, tactically astute manager with a set in stone philosophy. Then we need to back him with players from a very specific formation with very specific player types to get behind him. Again, big up the Quiet Tactician, but this is nonsense, and I'll tell you why it's nonsense. As I said already, there is no manager in world football that gets his own players, apart from Pep and Klopp. You have to earn the right to get your own players. And quite simply, Amorim hasn't done that. And any manager that comes in, for that fact, if they're not showing anything with the team they've got already, why would a Ineos or an ownership trust you with getting your own players in if it's 7 or 8 players? That's not going to happen. So again, in terms of philosophy, the philosophy comes from the whole club. You look at Barcelona. Barcelona have a philosophy. They play a certain way, So any manager that they hire is going to be in line with the philosophy of that club. Man United are just hiring managers, and because they play a certain system, everything has to adhere to that system. That's not how it should work. And hopefully Ineos are trying to change that model now, which I think they are. But Barcelona is a prime example. Man City, I would say, is a prime example now as well with Pep. And obviously with their backroom stuff that they have as well. But Barcelona is an ideal team to look at, If you look at Barcelona, the players they bring in and the coaches they bring in fit into the philosophy of the club where they play a certain way. And it's not about a manager having a philosophy. The manager has to fit into the philosophy of the whole club, And again, I don't believe Ineos want to play a 3 at the back. this manager does, but I don't believe Ineos want to do that. So my thing is, they just need to hire someone that has a clear philosophy. I agree with that, but the philosophy has to be in line with the club, not for himself. So yeah, I understand what you mean, but yeah, it's not entirely accurate, I would say. But big up yourself. So original bro says you don't trust Amorim. I don't. I'm done with Amorim. I'm done with him. I need him gone end of the season now. The only thing that might keep him, and again, I'm not even too fussed with this. If he wins Europa, then I'll have to be honest. He will probably keep his job, because if you win a trophy, you have a right to stay. But I'm done with him, man. I don't care if he wins a trophy or not. I've seen too much now. He consistently playing the wrong players, man, and tonight just done it for me. So yeah, big up. So Rajat says many times Ruben has said he doesn't have much time to turn it off, turn it round. He knows that as well. It's an elite competition. Rajat says Phil Bruno needs a rest. He's playing too much. Don't want to. Listen, the fact that Bruno plays every game again is a joke. I've never seen a player have so much freedom at a club. You know, Bruno Fernandes can do what he wants, and for a player of his level, should never be the case. You know, that's the honest truth. He's had the run of Old Trafford ever since he came to the club, and this just shows me that the club are not in a good place, because a player of his level shouldn't be allowed to go and do what he wants, to play every game. So he's the captain, he's the penalty taker, he's the free kick taker, he's the corner taker. He plays every game. It's nonsense. It's nonsense, man. I've never seen a player at one club just get given everything for the level of player that he is, you know. So again, until a proper manager comes in, and I thought Amorim was going to be that, but again, Amorim is Ten Hag. The best way to describe it is that Amorim is Ten Hag in disguise, because he's just doing the same thing. He played Bruno every game. This manager's doing the same thing, if not worse. So until a manager comes in, you know, and lets Bruno Fernandes know that he's not a key player in that sense, Man United ain't doing nothing serious. No matter what a lot of these pundits or these commentators tell you, they're just fooling you. You know, I'm always going to give you my honest opinion, and my honest opinion is there's a few players in that lineup, and I'll go through them. Obviously, Onana. You know, I don't think Onana's an immediate problem, but he is a problem. Bruno Fernandes, Garnacho, Højlund, Ugarte, those guys there. I was going to say Maguire, but Maguire isn't. I think when everyone's fit, Maguire shouldn't start. So I'm not really going to use him. If he's there as a fifth choice, cool. But really and truly, he needs to be moved on as well. Mason Mount, Luke Shaw, you know, these guys have been injured as well. But players that play regularly in his team. So as I said, Onana, Højlund, Bruno Fernandes, Garnacho, Ugarte. I know Ugarte is a new signing. These guys are the guys that you don't go forward with, you know. And I'll say out of all them, Onana is probably the least problem, you know, because I do believe if Onana went elsewhere, I don't think he would perform as bad. You know what I mean? I just think that any player that comes to this club, the club is broken, and you're always going to have a rough ride at some point, you know. But there's players that have been at the club longer, and they're given more affordability than what Onana is. We all know why that is, but I'm not going to get into that tonight. But yeah, that's what I've got to say on that. But guys, big up everyone for coming on. Big up Reluctant Gamer every time as well. Big up Rajat for coming on as well with your comments. Big up Original Bro as well. The Quiet Tactician. Tommy Johnson as well. Who else have I missed? Yeah, guys, big up everyone for coming on, as I said. And as I said, make sure, guys, you smash that like button. It helps to reach more people. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And as I said, make sure you check out my content. I'm going to be back. I'm not sure if I'm back tomorrow. Well, I should be back tomorrow. I'm not sure what time yet. It might be back later in the evening. If I get some time. But as I said, yeah, appreciate everyone's comments today as well in the chat. And as I said, dialogue is what it's all about. We're not here to agree on everyone's opinions, everyone's comments, but it is about opinions, and hopefully you guys have seen a different angle from certain things. And as I said, yeah, if you do like my content, make sure you check out my other streams. Again, during the international break, I done my best players of the Premier League era. So I've done goalkeeper, right back, left back, centre mid, number 10, left and right wing, and striker. So give that a check. Obviously, I've got chapters on there as well. So if you want to see a specific position, then you can just check it out. And so I said, yeah, if you do like my content, make sure you subscribe to my channel at Gav Goes In. And again, make sure you smash that like button, guys, on the way out. And give me some comments, guys, once the stream's ended. As I said, smashing that like button as well helps to reach more people. And as I said, yeah, guys, big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. And I'm going to catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.